Well, after this surprisingly positive response to the previous entry, let's move on to our next item, which just so happens to be another Mario RPG. Here's another game I've talked about before, but this time it was part of a collab with The Tree's Apprentice. While he no longer likes this collab, I think there's some good stuff in that collab, but we both agreed that this was far from our finest work. But let's get on topic. Partizan Time was a game that both Ben and I agreed was the weakest entry in the Mario and Luigi series, but to tell the truth, I think we badmouthed this game a little too much. Let's start by reflecting on the comments Ben and I made about this game. First, our complaints about the enemy's strength. We worded that strangely. The enemies and partners in Time aren't terribly tough, once you know their patterns that is. The issue is that the enemies seem to have just a tad too much HP, making fighting them feel very monotonous. This monotonous style is somewhat present in the sort of exploration of the areas outside the main dungeons. There's not a terrible amount of interesting things, and they just seem to lengthen the game for no particular reason. My comments about the shrubs? Yeah, they were kind of on a bad pretense. While they're far from the best villainous entities in the Mario series, there's nothing much bad about them. However, if there's one argument I still stick with, it's the special item system. Similar to my faults with Sticker Star's sticker system, the special moves are all items and are all single use. This concept actually frustrated me so much that I used my action replay card to hack the game to give me enough items so I wouldn't have to worry about them. Yeah, I find this concept that bad. But now I think I should acknowledge some of the things that make this game for me. The combat, while monotonous at points, can be really enjoyable with the interactivity with the commands, like utilizing both the adults and the babies to give your attacks that little extra punch. And since I brought up the babies, I must say that they are so fucking cute! These babies make the game for me. Mario is headstrong and has some funny moments, but god damn, Baby Luigi steals the spotlight. Like his adult counterpart, he is clumsy, eccentric, and will start bawling his eyes out at anything. And the way that babies interact with the adults is just really funny. I mean, Mario and Luigi have to look after their infant selves. Think of the possibilities of this situation. This hilarious concept, as well as other characters like the Leet Hammer Bros, make up why I think this game deserves this spot. The comedy. What else needs to be said except...
Hi! So yeah, this is gonna seem like a real jerk move, but I'm a little busy so I can't properly interrupt this video. So yeah, you're gonna have to settle for the scout. Bye!
Alright, let's do this. You listening? Okay, grass grows, birds fly, sun shines, and butter. TF2 is the freaking shit! Once the countdown hits 0 and the doors open, the best freaking multiplayer experience of your life gets thrown at you along with grenades, rockets, arrows, and flamethrowers. There's something for everybody in Team Fortress 2. You wanna play stealth? Pick the backstabbing rat. You like blowing crap up? Pick Demo Solid. You like Call of Duty? Pick the, oh hey, look hats! Look at me, ma! I got a hot dog on my head, and this is considered normal. Duh. It's also a crap ton of customization. Each new weapon that's added to the game completely changes it. Take me, the best class, for example. You could just have me hit and run, but with a few swaps, I could be a long-range supporter. Like the camper. Duh. The only thing that really drives me crazy is the auto balance. Why does it have to happen during a round? Best of all, the game is absolutely free. That means you can get tons of stuff for nothing, and we'll never stop giving you stuff. You constantly get more maps, weapons, and items that will do nothing but look awesome. If you order now, I'll throw in a second game absolutely free. What you looking at me like that for? Valve does that all the time.
Well, that was certainly interesting. I wonder if we're gonna have any more interruptions. I guess we'll find out later. Now, people seem to have one licensed game that they just seem to love. Well, how about I show mine? Now, here's a game I'm pretty much sure no one watching this will have played or probably even heard of. Let me tell you something. this was my favorite game on the original Xbox out of the games I owned on it. Such a shame my brother sold this game along with our Xbox years ago. As you can tell from what I've just said, this is a nostalgic game that I can't replay to see if I was just a stupid kid or this game is actually good. But you know what? My list, I make the goddamn rules here. Anyway, I just had so much fun playing this game. The game starts off with Taz and his girlfriend on Taz Island until Yosemite Sam comes in and takes them to be in a zoo. And now it's Taz's job to rescue his girlfriend. Basic premise. The way this game works is that in every level, there are a certain number of wanted signs spread throughout, and your task is first to destroy every wanted sign in the level, which then unlocks a certain item or object necessary to reach the next boss fight. And they throw in a ton of creative ways to destroy these signs. All the levels in this game are stylized to a particular fashion, and all add to the charm of the game. But when I was growing up, I didn't care about all this stuff. All I cared about was how fucking loony this game was! Get it? Looney, as in Looney Tunes? For a licensed game, this really is something unique. I mean, let me read you off some of the bosses. A game of Pong with an elephant. A game show challenge against Daffy. Fighting Yosemite Sam in an explosive maze. A disco-themed lava roulette battle with Sam. And a final boss battle with Tweety Pie in one of those mechs from Alien. And just like the show, there's tons of funny shit throughout. But by far, my favorite little feature in this game is that the music changes when you're spinning. Like, listen. Normally. Spinning. As I said before, I haven't played this game in years, but considering the amount of memories I have for this game, and just listen to some of the stuff I've told you, does this game not sound good? So, to wrap this up, Taz Wanted is a really fun game, and... wait. Taz is a Tasmanian devil, who comes from the island of Tasmania, which is a state in Australia.
Could this mean what I think it means? What am I talking about?
You know what? I think now's the time to talk about a unique little game from one of my favorite franchises. And that little game is Kirby Canvas Curse. This game. This game is one of those little experimental games HAL Labs put out in their awesome series of Kirby. And while some people don't like this game, I really liked it. This game was experimental in the sense that no buttons are used whatsoever. Every single action is triggered by using the touchscreen. While at first glance this can seem gimmicky and stupid, it works incredibly well. You use the stylus to maneuver Kirby around obstacles by drawing lines for him to ride on. The drawing mechanic is implemented extremely well into the gameplay, with lines being used to maneuver vertically and horizontally. The touchscreen is also used in 3 minigames, which function as the boss battles. The minecart race with DDD is easily my least favorite. The pinball, alleyway, hybrid kind of game with Krakow is a lot of fun, but everyone's favorite battle is with Paint Roller. Basically, Paint Roller will paint an image, and you need to copy the image as fast as you can to avoid a parade of crash bombs on your tail. Not only is this game a fun little drawing game, there's also a lot of pace and it feels kinda frantic in some of the later stages. Unlike previous installments in the Kirby series, copy abilities don't really play as big a role in the gameplay. I think the only 2 copy abilities I made use of were Stone to allow me to go underwater, and Missile to allow easier movement through large open levels. The presentation is also very good. The graphics, like all Kirby games, have a lot of colourful charm around them. But the big thing is in the music. While Canvas Curse has some great original pieces, it really shines in some of the very best remixes of classic songs from the Kirby series. While I mentioned that the 3 minigames are what qualifies as the bosses of the game, just lucky for us, there is one real boss fight in this game, and it's with the main antagonist, the Drokia Sorceress. I don't want to go too far into detail, but let me just say this. This battle is one of my favorite battles in the entire series. Just make sure you don't wear headphones. Kirby Canvas Curse, a little gem from the early days of the DS that I think a lot more should appreciate. Over the previous months, if there is one game series I have been obsessed with, it's the Pokemon series. Over the last few months, I've quite literally gone through nearly every single generation of Pokemon, whether on remakes or original versions, and I'm so glad that I'm finally up to the first main series Pokemon game on my top 100. This game is one of the very first games I played all the way through, and was my first Pokemon game.
Fuck no.
Ladies and gents, Pokemon Gold. Oh yeah, we're chipping into some raw nostalgia right here. Usually when I bring up Pokemon at school, everything always drifts towards Gold and Silver, which of course for my age group was the game in the series we got when we were actually smart enough to know how the hell the game worked. However, I've descended on a different tangent than a lot of my friends, because the game that most of them consider their favourite is nowhere near the top of my list. Maybe that's because in comparison to the newer games, the battling and just gameplay feels extremely primitive. No physical special split, no natures and no abilities. To me at least, it makes most of the selection of Pokemon feel too limiting. Despite this, I can't say I'm not a little biased towards this game. The nostalgia for me is strong in this game. I hold a ton of memories from this game, like getting my very first Pokemon, a Cyndaquil, battling my rival and beating his Totodile by making like a frickin' rugby guy, taking down tons of gym leaders, toppling Team Rocket, beating the Elite Four and the Champion, and never managing to defeat Red. I also remember that some of my favourite Pokemon of all time were introduced in this game, like Typhlosion, Scizor, Heracross, and Espeon. The music is also really memorable, with some really memorable tunes being the Team Rocket battle theme, the Gym Leader theme, the Rival battle theme, and of course, the Champion theme. However, there are two things in the present that drag this game into the dirt for me. They're both to do with the internal battery running dry. First, I was actually considering doing an LP of Gold, but then I realized because the internal battery had ran dry, I couldn't save the game. I can live with this disappointment, but the big one for me is that the battery deleted my original save file. Why does this bother me? Because I had a fucking legitimate Celebi! Yeah, I was in New York at the time when Celebis were distributed after the release of the fourth movie, and I actually got one! But then my internal battery deleted that save file. Life isn't fair sometimes. Still like the game though. But luckily I've had my flame shield fixed in the time since the last part, so let's use it again! Yep, the first Metroid game on my top 100 is the fan favourite Super Metroid. Man, I sure love pissing people off with this list. Well, I guess it's time to get explaining. Being completely honest, Super Metroid was the first Metroid game I ever played, and I wasn't the fondest of it. I actually consider this game slightly overrated. Now, to clarify, overrated does not mean bad. I just feel this game is given too much attention and praise. When I first played this game in 2010, I was not the biggest fan. I couldn't adapt to the controls properly, partially my fault due to playing with the GameCube controller, due to the button layout for the controller feeling incredibly awkward. But that wasn't my main problem. I disliked this game because of how much I felt like a rat in a fucking maze. I've honestly never felt so goddamn lost while playing a game in my whole life. I understand now that this is what a lot of people like about this game, but my god, this is a major pain in my ass. I honestly could not make heads or tails of anything, so much so that I've pretty much had the Metroid Recon walkthrough of the game by my side the entire time playing through the game. I know, I probably sound like a huge idiot for not knowing what the hell was going on, but this was my first Metroid game and I hadn't grasped the concept of the series yet. However, now that I have more experience with the Metroid series, and I've seen some other videos giving insight to why this game was a marvel, such as the digressing and side questing video by the Game Theorist, and the fake sequelitis by Nintendo Capri Sun, I've actually sort of been developing a new opinion on Super Metroid. The maze-like structure of Planet Zebes allows for a lot of exploration and possible sequence breaking, as well as the game giving you several small teaching tools throughout. All the areas carry a lot of atmosphere around them, and the visuals and music all provide this excellently. And I'll admit, the whole sequence with the baby Metroid was actually really good and well executed in a game that had pretty much no dialogue whatsoever. However, this game is still the lowest ranked Metroid game on my top 100. Maybe it's due to some bad experiences early on, and maybe just some personal bias on my part, but this is as high as this game is gonna go. Deal with it. Oh boy, chaps, we have another main series Mario game on our hands, and unfortunately, this one is a 3D Mario game and is a well-accepted fan favorite. Well, let's roll the clip. Boy, did I just say that out loud! Yep, I have Super Mario Sunshine on the bottom half of my top 100. Once again, just because this game isn't on the top end of my list doesn't mean it's bad. I just don't like it as much as others. Anyway, Mario and Peach are on vacation to Isle Delfino, but when they arrive, Mario is arrested on arrival. Finally! He's finally gonna be tried after crushing so many turtles and setting all those fish on fire. Oh wait, no he isn't. Apparently, Mario has been spreading graffiti all over the island that is causing the island's energy to fade. Now, it's Mario's task to clean up all the graffiti with his new backpack water pump, Flood, and find out who's really causing all this graffiti. The main difference between this game and the others is the use of Flood. You use Flood to spray water on your enemies, hover in the air, perform a super jump, and propel yourself around using jets of water. Using this new water-based mechanic is essential in beating this game. Every level in the game implements water into the level design, such as a method of attack, climbing up obstacles, and just simply maneuvering around the environment. All the levels in this game have a lot of charm to them and can be a lot of fun. Unfortunately, two main flaws with the game come in the music and the boss battles. The music really isn't terribly memorable in my opinion. It's good, I just can't remember much of it. And the boss fights really aren't terribly fun. Storm and the final battle with Bowser are just two examples. My real personal nitpick with Sunshine is something I'm sure some people can agree on, but most probably won't. I hate the secret stages. For one, you lose Flood, the main thing carrying you through most of the platforming sections, and then forced to do a huge fucking obstacle course without your fucking backpack. It's like if you had to do a platforming section in Banjo-Kazooie without Kazooie. It's just infuriating how much of a pain these levels are. But as a whole, Super Mario Sunshine is a really fun game, and this is a game I recommend if you have a GameCube or Wii. Please don't kill me, Ben. Four Swords, the first multiplayer Zelda game ever. A revolutionary game with tons of multiplayer action with all the Legend of Zelda puzzle solving. Well, Four Swords isn't on my list. Why? Because I had the game for about 9 years and I could never play it. No one I knew had the game except me. And when I played the 3DS re-release, I wasn't entirely fond of it. But then this happened! Now this is more like it! I played some games with the epic failures, but this is the one above all else that I would like to play with them. Unfortunately, I can't, because I would need 4 Game Boy Advances and 4 Game Boy Advance to GameCube cables, which I simply don't have. Well, Four Swords would have said, you simply can't play the game if you don't have any friends to play with. The Four Swords Adventure actually gives the option to play through the game controlling all 4 links using formations. Now isn't that nice of it? Similar to Canvas Curse, Four Swords Adventures takes on a different sort of style than other Zelda games. There's no overworld or any kind of Zelda exploration in this game. This is all replaced with a level select system, which, to be honest, I don't mind. It just adds a little unique spice in my eyes. The main mechanic of this game is to use the power of the 4 links to progress through each level. You can only complete each level by destroying a dark barrier surrounding the exit. You can only destroy the barrier by collecting a total of 2,000 force gems to power up your sword. It sounds formulaic and every single level uses this system, but the main thing that makes each level good is in the puzzle solving aspect. This game is extremely thought-provoking, and you will need to be able to work around these puzzle mechanics in order to progress in a lot of these areas, with main examples being in the temples as well as the Lost Woods. If I had to nitpick on a few things, Force Wars Adventures does take a lot of assets from other Zelda games, such as the Wind Waker, but predominantly from A Link to the Past. I mean, wow. There are enemies taken, art style taken, music taken, and even whole levels are taken from A Link to the Past. I can handle borrowing assets from other games, but this is just really pushing it. Anyway, this game is an untraditional Zelda title that I really enjoy. Just wish I could play it with friends. You wanna know what we're gonna do now? We're going to talk about another Zelda game. Hold on to your hats, chaps, because I'm going old school right now. Oh boy, The Legend of Zelda, Link's Awakening. DX. Because remember, 2 letters make a big difference, especially if they make a sad face. Aw, DX, I don't care if you're a remake, I still like you. Man, that was a tangent. Link's Awakening DX is a remake of the original Link's Awakening for the Game Boy, but with one major upgrade. Color. The graphics of the game may still be the ones from the original Game Boy, but the color adds this little zest to the graphics. Other than the introduction of color and some new features like a brand new optional dungeon and a series of photographs compatible with the Game Boy printer, nothing has changed from the original Game Boy game, and we all love it for that. This game at its most raw core was a big thing in the old days. It was the first attempt at putting a new full-length Zelda game onto a handheld system, and even by today's standards of the Zelda series, Link's Awakening holds up extremely well. This game is responsible for moving my favorite video game series onto the portable market, and a lot of the design choices made by the developers really work in its favor. The ability to assign items to both your action buttons instead of having your sword and one action button, pieces of power and Guardian's acorns to boost your attributes, and a plethora of new items such as the Rock's Feather all add to the game's unique design. Also in terms of innovation to the series, Link's Awakening introduced a location other than Hyrule to explore, Coquitlam Island, multiple songs from your instrument, individual dungeon themes, the first trading sequence in the series, and an owl companion who would go on to be loved by the entire fan base. However, the thing that makes this game great for me is just all the little references this game makes. You have a Yoshi doll, a picture of Princess Peach, who you give to Mr. Right, a character from SimCity, Wart from Mario 2, a number of Mario enemies such as Goombas, Piranha Plants, Shy Guys, Bloopers and Chain Chomps, and even frickin' Kirby! This game has quite a bit of a fan following, and it's really not hard to see why. It's charming, unique, and it's just a really good entry in the Zelda series. But I'm not gonna go as far to say that it's my favorite handheld Zelda game, oh no. There are more of those on the way. While we're on the topic of portable games, let's knock another one off the list. Here we have Kirby Squeak Squad. Now this game sure as hell is a lot of fun. In terms of its release, Squeak Squad was meant to go back to a more traditional Kirby feel after the release of Camus Curse, and it was a relatively well received game. The story is that someone has stolen Kirby's strawberry shortcake, and he sets off on a grand adventure to get back his beloved cake. But who could do such a thing? Well, a new group of villains known as the Squeaks who are out to steal everything of value in Dreamland. I just want to butt in and say I love the way the cutscene descriptions are written. I can just imagine hearing Stephen Fry or some other British bloke reading it out.
Early afternoon in Dreamland. It's so peaceful even the clouds are drowsy. And now, it's Kirby's favorite time of day. Snack time. Today's yummy snack is... Yeah, I'm gonna shut up now.
In terms of the Kirby series, it's a pretty basic shenanigan. Get to the end of stages while copying abilities and beating up enemies, but there are a couple of added features that make Squeak Squad unique. For one, in each level there are a certain number of treasure chests to find. All of these are either just lying in the open, hiding somewhere in the stage, requiring the use of a copy ability, or have some other prerequisite to their acquisition. Treasure chests can contain a number of things, such as new colors for Kirby, new designs for the touchscreen, and even scrolls to give your copy abilities more moves to trump enemies. Another feature is in the use of the touchscreen. After inhaling certain bubbles that can contain food, copy abilities, and mini Kirbys, you can activate them at any time to receive their benefits, or alternatively, you can combine bubbles to get better healing items, randomized abilities, and extra lives. But now, the main part of any Kirby game, the copy abilities. A ton of the old classics return, but some can perform new actions, such as sparks electricity running along metal paneling. There are also some new powers in this game, like Animal that allows you to maul enemies and burrow through the ground, Bubble which turns anything you spray at into an inhalable bubble, and Metal which makes you positively indestructible, but makes your movement slower than my upload schedule for this damn 100. With some fun level design, nice aesthetics, and great boss battles, this is a game I can highly recommend you play if you haven't already. There were some fun times to be had in this game.